mate, for the last 2 days, we've been practicing the exercises that we've already taught Sarah. Remember, don't be frightened to spend 2 or 3 days at a time, longer if you need it, just practicing the exercises you've already taught them until your foal gets confident doing the exercises. There's no point going on or teaching them new exercises until the ones that they already know, are at least a B+, okay? So the exercise that she really struggled with was the whole turn and draw, okay? So I've been practicing that for the last couple of days, and she's got a lot better here to where she turns and then she comes up to me. Good girl. Okay, this is the one where she wanted to rear up a little bit and kind of flop over. So I primarily worked on this one with her, just getting her to understand how to turn. Good girl. I love that, how she came up to me there. Okay, just making sure that they'll follow that feel. And if you run off, good girl, I like that. She comes off that pressure. So she's figured this out now, that she doesn't need to fight against it. Good girl. Take it over her head. Yeah, see, she's getting pretty smart now. Anytime she feels that rope go over her head, she's starting to get pretty smart. Now that time she didn't guess it. Good girl. So it's amazing, just a couple more days of practice, how much more confident she is. Good girl. Okay, get this really good to where they're confident at following that feel. The goal, mate, is to be able to do the sending exercise, which is the ability to be able to send your horse between you and an object. So in this case, we're using the fence, and it gets the horse used to tight, narrow spaces. Okay, when I point, she comes through that gap. Yield, point, there. When you look at that hindquarters, they yield it. Point, yield. If she gets a little close, back her up, point. Oh, I love that. As soon as I pointed, she immediately trotted forward. If she gets a little lazy, I can tap her with the stick. There. Eventually, this is going to come in handy when we do trailer loading. You'll be able to send them onto the trailer. Good girl, I love that. Yield to hindquarters, get 2 eyes. Good girl, Miley. So now let's teach her something new. I'd like to teach her the sending exercise, but I'm going to use her mother as a little bit of a magnet or draw for her, because she's naturally going to want to come over here anyway, okay? So I'll use her mother as a bit of a draw or fence. Come here, you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send her between me and her mother. I'm going to point, gently tap her with the stick, and the sending exercise will teach her to connect the halter to her feet a little bit better. Forward, 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 forward. Tap with rhythm, tap with rhythm. There. Good girl. Just let her think about that. Well, she volunteers to come forward, I might as well go with it. Tap with rhythm, tap with rhythm, tap with rhythm, until she comes forward. She hasn't come forward yet. Tap with rhythm, tap with rhythm, tap with rhythm. Follow her. Don't try and fight her, just make it uncomfortable. Get ready when I release the pressure. She's not going forward. Still 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 not going forward. There she did. Release it. She's got to realize the only way to get away from the stick is to move your feet forward. Tap with rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Good little girl. See, even though she didn't come all the way past me, she did come forward, so reward that. Again, this is a concept lesson. Okay, it's a concept lesson. Tap with rhythm. She see how she's kind of sat back here? Tap behind the drive line. Tap behind the drive line. I don't need to tap any firmer. I just need to keep irritating her there a little bit until she, there a little bit, comes forward. See, she's not trying to be bad. She's just not sure of the answer. She's not sure of the answer. There it is, right there. Good girl. She's thinking back, back, back. It's very important just to break it into steps here. Just when she comes forward, leave her alone. I'll try it again. Ask with the halter. Ah, good girl. Ask with the halter. There we go. Ask her with the halter. She's probably going to run back again towards her mother. Pressure, pressure, pressure. There. Leave her alone. When it's a concept lesson, don't get too picky with them. Tap with rhythm. See this here, if she was tied up to a fence, what would she be doing now? She'd be pulling back, wouldn't she? She's got to connect the halter to her feet. She's got to connect the halter to her feet. Halter to her feet. Nearly. Tap with rhythm. There we go. Now, do you notice that when she came forward that time, I let that rope slide through my hand because I didn't want to shut her down. As soon as she came past me, I didn't want that halter to hit her. So I let the rope slide through my hand. Now, eventually, she hit the end of it and turned, but I wanted to let her feel like she could go somewhere, okay? Little things like that will make a big difference. Point. So I was trying to send her between her and her mother, but she, right now, keeps coming away from her mother. So that's all right, I'll just use any fence. I usually just start out their mother because it's a place that they naturally want to be. But if she doesn't want to go over there, that's all right. Pressure, 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 pressure. Tap on the higher on the neck. She's leaning into me here. There, release it. There. Let her think about that. Try again. Point. Ah, good girl. Now, even though she didn't go all the way past me, it was still a try. Reward the slightest try. I like that. She's licking her lips. There we go. Point. She's got, see this? This is why I teach this. This is going to connect this halter, good girl, to her feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap with rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Tap with rhythm. Just follow her. When she fusses like this, see how I keep pointing? Keep pointing, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep pointing, keep tapping, keep the pressure there, and release it. Just like that there. It never hurts when they're like her now and resisting to let them just think for a few seconds when they come forward like that. Sometimes they can get in a little bit of a bother about it where they quit thinking. If you just give them a chance just to stop and think about it, they often do a little bit better. That's a go. What I do like about her now is after the last couple of days, she's really given up that tendency to want to rear up and flip over. Now that I've said that, I'm sure she'll flop over like a fish, but I haven't seen much sign of it in the last couple of days. She's kind of figured out that that doesn't get anywhere. There we go, just like that. The sending exercise teaches the horse that anytime you feel that pressure of that halter behind your pole, like there, good girl. That there was really good. Now I'm going to yield her hindquarters. That's it. Point. Tap with rhythm. There. She's licking her lips, that's a good sign. Cocking a leg. Ask her again, point. Now that time I didn't use the stick. Now I'm going to use it now to get it to yield. Now I'm going to ask her to come back through. Now once she starts to get the hang of it, I won't let her rest so much at the end of it. Okay. Point. Tap. Ah, now you're kind of getting a little clever, aren't you? Tap with rhythm. Move those feet. There. Good girl. Pressure. Pressure. That's it. Point. Tap. Ask her with the halter. Tell her with the stick. By asking her with the halter, eventually she'll figure out that I won't go to the stick if she just comes off that halter. Now I'm going to get a little pickier. 2 eyes, please. As she starts to get better, I can afford to get just a little bit pickier. And I will about 2 eyes. See, like right here. That's better. Use that draw of their mother to help you. Because you're always asking them to come forward towards their mother. There we go. 2 eyes, please. Tap with rhythm. That's it. There. 2 eyes. Point. Keep moving those feet. See, like here, 2 eyes. Hold, hold, hold. Little bit of that old habit was in her then. Just then, did you see that? She kind of backed up and started to shake her head like she was going to have a little bit of a fit, and then she gave it up pretty quick. That was a little bit of that old flopping fish over there. She thought about rearing up and flopping over, but then she gave that up just then. Point. There we go. Radio. I'm going to bring her over here and desensitize her a little bit. Okay. Again, that's the first lesson at it. She's not going to get perfected. You'd be amazed with these little foals. You'll start a lesson. You won't really feel like you got a lot done, okay, by the end of it. But you come back the next day and work on them again, whew, man, it's amazing how they act like they've been doing it for 2 or 3 days. It's hard to describe. Like, tomorrow when I come back and do that, I'll bet that's 100 times better than what it was today. Even though she still had resistance when I quit and she wasn't by any means perfect, but again, all I need her to understand in today's lesson is the concept. That's it. Understand the basic concept. That's it. So now, notice how I'm starting to desensitize her now away from her mother. Very, very important. Start to teach them that it's good to be away from their mothers. They don't need to be over there. I'm going to make you walk near your mother, rest your way. Because I'm getting her ready for eventually I don't need the round pen where I can do all this outside. Good girl. You're doing great. Doing great. Lots of the desensitizing, especially around her head. Like, you know, if you wanted to, you could end the session kind of quickly, like now, after you desensitize, and then come back this afternoon and work on the sending exercise again. There's nothing wrong with doing a couple of small sessions a day, 2 15, 20-minute sessions a day, and you'll be amazed how they catch on even quicker then. That's it. Good girl. Come forward. That's a girl. The goal, mate, is lunging for respect stage 1. I want to be able to stand still, point, and have that horse follow that feel. When you point, he has an energetic departure. Okay, and I want the horse to go around 2 or 3 circles, then yield their hindquarters, give you 2 eyes, and come up to you. Okay, so watch, when I go to yield her hindquarters, I'm going to look at it, there, and she knows that means turn and come on in. Good girl, rubber. Change hands, keep my feet still, point. I love that. I want that energetic departure. Now Miley's more broke, so she'll canter around there sometimes, especially if she's feeling a little fresh and full of energy. But I just want him to just trot around there nice and relaxed. See how she's got a lot of slack in the rope? This is ideally what we're looking for, that they don't really pull against the halter, they'll keep that slack. Anytime I point, they'll speed up. Yield her hindquarters, have her come on in, point. I like that. As soon as I point, she moves those feet. Once they get pretty good, you don't have to stop them every time. You can yield the hindquarters and send them off the other direction. This is not about lunging them to get them tired. It's about getting lots of changes of direction. Yield their hindquarters. Good girl. That was great. I love it when I point, she immediately goes. Yield. Now I'm going to let her come all the way up to me. A little bit further. Good girl. Okay, let's try something a little bit different with her here. It's kind of different but similar. We'll do a little lunging stage 1, which is basically just getting her to go around in some sort of a circle. It's not going to be a great circle. It's not going to be real round. It's not going to be real perfect. I just want to teach her to move her feet forward more. See this here? She's got that there we go. So as long as she's moving forward in some sort of a circle, now I'm going to drift with her here and let her kind of go back to her mother, because I'm just going to make her feet move over here. So I just want her to go forward, and then I might yield her hindquarters. Okay, I'm going to get a little pickier now. That's better. 2 eyes and rubber. Now I'm going to point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tap her with rhythm, tap her with rhythm. And what happens is they'll go around here real slow, and then they'll bolt back to their mothers. That's okay. See, I'm letting that rope slide through my hand. I'm kind of walking with her. It's not a great circle, but it's all right. I'm just got to give her the concept. There, yield. Get 2 eyes. I'm going to get that a little better. Let me send it back this way again. Point. There we go. Let it slide through your hand now. Little pressure. Let it slide through your hand. Drift with them. You just don't want to be so tight on the lead rope that they don't feel like they can go somewhere. I want her to feel like she can move those feet. That's why I really let that rope slide through my hand. Drift with her a little bit. Get a little play to her. 2 eyes. Point. That's a little better there. Move your feet, please. That's a go. See, this is where people get crazy and say, well, I heard that lunging is bad for your young foals. Well, I'm sure it is if you do it for an hour and a half, 6 days a week for the first year and a half of their life. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is just creating some movement and getting them to go around. See how I let that slide through my hand? Point. There. Point. Come forward. That's it, go. That's it. Yield. I'm just going to let her have a little think about that. So it's not about just chasing them and chasing them and chasing them until they're exhausted. Just let them kind of find it. She's ready to quit here after this. There, I like that. As soon as I pointed and walked towards her a little bit, she started moving her feet. Move those feet. See how I'm drifting with her here? If I would just say, no, you have to do a perfect round circle, I'd be pulling on her all the time, which would discourage her from wanting to move forward. As long as I don't let her rest near her mother, we're okay. There. Good girl. So I'll quit her on that. Might just test a little bit of that. That's it. She seems like she's coming off that halter a lot better. Good girl. You did good, didn't you? It's very important to make sure that your foal is not frightened of you or your tools. So I want to be able to flog my horse with kindness with the stick and string. Withers and back, hindquarters, round their neck. Then you do the back legs, okay? Stand back a little further and then do their front legs. I want to make sure they're not worried about you or your tools. It's extremely important. Whatever you do on one side, do it on the other. Instead of flogging them with anger, flog them with some kindness and just make sure they're nice and quiet. Good girl. Lots of it around their legs. You can't do too much of this around their legs. I also want to be able to spank the ground on all three sides with high energy. Most adult horses would get very frightened with what I just did. She's had this from the beginning, so it's no big deal. I want to do it on left side, in front, right side. I want it swinging past her eyes. See, the fact that she wanted to walk towards me then is a good sign. She's not frightened of me. See how she's looking off kind of bored? That's great. I want respect without fear. Good girl, Miley. She did good. Anytime you can walk backwards, spanking the stick of string, see how that frightened her a little bit? Walk backwards away from them, just spanking the ground. Flipping it over their butt, over their neck. Anytime you can walk away from them and flog them with kindness, the better. That's a go. Even though she's a little frightened of it, you notice she's coming towards me to try to get away from it. She's not trying to run back to her mother so much. That's a good little sign. I'd like to get her a little quieter here with it, and we will. I don't want her on top of me. So I found a little no-no spot here, didn't I? See how she's throwing her head up there? I'm going to keep coming back to this. When they tell you there's a no-no spot there, you got to make a mental note of that and keep coming back to address it. So she doesn't like this string up around her head right now. I'm going to keep going till she quits shaking her head and throwing it up, and then I'm going to rub her and retreat. Two eyes. Pressure, pressure, release that pressure. Notice she's worse on this right side. Well, on her left, my right. So I'm going to stay on this side a little bit more. See, when I go on this side, you notice she doesn't throw her head up. Look, no reaction, reaction. No reaction, reaction. So she's telling me that left eye needs more work than that right eye. That's a go. Now we'll desensitize her, rub her and retreat a little bit. That's a go. Especially after you've been tapping them with the stick and making a move, you've got to come back here and rebalance that. If you don't, they'll just think every time you pick up the stick, you're out to get them, and that's not what the case is. That's a go. Pretty good. Try this side. I'm still at medium energy, not real hard just yet. I got to get her a little bit better here first. Right, I want to rub her legs a little bit before we quit. A little bit of approach and retreat, approach, go down low, retreat, come back up high. Get them used to this long before you ever try and pick them up. Take the rope behind your back, do the same thing on their back legs. If they start moving around, keep their head tipped towards you and just keep rubbing them until they stop and relax. And as they stop and relax, retreat, go back up to their butt. But you'll find if you do this at the end of your training session, you'll find that they won't really want to move around that much. If you do it when they're real fresh and you just brought them out of the stall, well then they will be. But if do it at the end, rub, rub, rub. Good go. That's a go. Okie dokie, that's a good place to quit her. Come forward. Good girl. That's a go. Get that head tipped towards you. There, I like that. No, I don't like that. So I'm going to put it back on again. There. Make him take that halter off, make him bend that nose. That's a go. Bend that nose. There. Good go. That's it. So we're going to give her a break and then work with her again. The secret is small sessions, but frequent. Frequent session, a lot of consistency, but not a long time in between, during each session. When I have to talk and explain things, it takes me a lot longer to do it. If I just come in here and do it myself, you know, within 15, 20 minutes, that's plenty. I got everything I want to get done and then move on. Now, the only time that doesn't apply, you could rub them here for an hour. You can't do too much of this. She loves this rubbing, don't you? Okay, she loves to be rubbed on. So you can't do too much of this stuff, okay? But you can chase them around too much. You can move them too much as far as get them out of air too much. Oh, good girl. Okay, we'll give her a break and come back. Now, mate, we've given Sarah a break for a while and we thought we'd come back to her to see if she's a little bit better with the sending exercise and lunging stage 1, okay? I'm going to point, tap her with the stick, little resistance here, tap with rhythm, keep following, there we go, release it. Pressure, pressure, there, release it when they go forward. Let that line slide through your hand. So I'm going to keep bringing her over towards the mother here and see if I can't send her between me and Remelina. Okay, I want to show her that it's a little bit of work here near your mother and it's rest near me. Point. There, yield. Point. Yield, a little better. Point. Tap with rhythm. This is going to help her a lot. Connect that halter to her feet. Point. There, that was better. That time when I pointed, she immediately came forward. Point. Ah, a little better. Keep coming forward. Point. If you get your foals really good at this exercise, they won't want to pull back. See this here? That's because it's not connected to her feet. The more of these groundwork exercises I do with Sarah, the better she's going to get about not resisting that halter. It's natural for all horses to want to lean against pressure. It's our job, point, there, to teach them how to move away from that pressure. So still quite a bit of resistance on the halter, but what I do like is that she's definitely moving her feet better as far as coming forward more freely like that. She might initially still resist the halter, but then when she comes forward, she seems a lot less sticky. That's a go. Point. Don't try and out-muscle them. Ask them with the halter. Tell them with the stick. Ask them with the halter. Tell them with the stick. Point. There. Yield. And you don't even really want to pull very hard. You just want to apply that pressure. And then immediately go to that stick to get those feet, good girl, to come forward. Yield. Point. Yield. There, that was better. That time there, I felt like there was very little resistance on the halter. Point. Better. That's it. So I think she's really starting to catch on to the concept, which is come forward off it. Well, she was. She just made a liar out of me there. Yield. 2 eyes, please. Point. That's it. 2 eyes. Get a little pickier about, by this stage, that when you go to that hindquarters, they will go forward. They yield that hindquarters like that. Point. See, when she's fussing like this, don't worry about it. Just go through that resistance. Don't try to fight with them. Don't try to kind of stop them. You just, good girl. You just keep moving their feet. There we go. You'll notice that they'll learn in little cycles where they'll do good for a while. See, she was doing bad, now she's starting to come good again. Then they'll do good and bad and good and bad. Don't worry about that, it's very normal. Try to quit when they're in a good cycle, but if you get into a bad one, keep going till you get to a good one. The only time that's not true is if they're really out of air. Then you've got to just rest them regardless. Forward, forward. Let that rope slide through your hand. Yield. Yield. Point. Tap with a little rhythm. Just hold her, hold her, hold her, hold her. See how I held her head just then? If I would have let that go, she more than likely would have lost her balance and went all the way over. Usually just before it gets really good, it gets really bad. See how she's back in another little cycle again? Yield. Point. Pressure. 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 Yeah, release that pressure. Pressure. Release that pressure. Good girl. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I'll quit on that. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I got 2 pretty decent ones. I felt like she did a little better than what she did in the earlier session, so quit on that. The secret is just get a little bit every day, every session, get a little bit more improvement, put it in the bank. Ian Francis, one of my mentors, he has a little saying. He says, you know, when you work with a horse every day and they get a little better, just put it in the bank. Take it to the bank and tomorrow, add a little bit more to the bank. Where everybody tries to make a massive big deposit every time they work with them. Just put a little bit better in the bank, a little bit of money in the bank every day. Won't be very long, you'll have quite a bit of money. Okay, so that's what I look at her, is that she didn't do, she didn't do perfect by any means, but it was better than the first session. And as long as the next session is better than this one, we're making improvement here. Okay. I want to come back and desensitize her, especially on this left eye, her near side eye. That was the side that she's had a little bit of a problem with, that stick spanking the ground. Okay. So come back to those oh-no spots anytime you know you've got one. See her throwing her head up there? You just keep doing it. She's starting to relax. As soon as she stops throwing her head up for a second, I'll reward her. There, good girl. And then reach up and rub her. Lots of rubbing on her face. Good girl. That's better. Good girl. Love that. See how she's cocking that leg? That's a great sign of her relaxing right there. Good girl. Before we quit her, I'd like to go ahead and do a little bit of lunging for respect stage 1, just trying to get those feet to move forward a little bit better. Better here around her head. Let's go. Let's do a little bit with the rope. Go. Anytime I can, I'll do little things like that to them. Just take that rope around their butt, get them to loosen up that hindquarters, bring the forequarters through. Just little puzzles all the time, making them solve little puzzles about giving to that pressure. Come around here. Just get her to follow that feel. That's a go. Good girl. Rightio. See how better she is. Point. 1, 2, 3. Tap. Now, if she wants to walk like that, that's great. That's why I say, you know, it's lunging for respect, but it's not like you're chasing them around like the older horses. If they want to walk, just let them. This is great that she's walking. I don't want her to stop, but I don't want her if she walks. That's it. Point. I want her to walk a little bit faster than that. There we go. Slide, stab, yield. Point up in the air. 1 chance, 2, 3, tap. There we go. Let that rope slide through your hand. If she wants to canter, that's up to her. I'm not making her. She's kind of fresh. And they'll do that a little bit, playing buck on the end of the line. That's all right, as long as they're going forward. That's why, you see how I constantly let that rope slide through my hand. Yield. Point. And what I'll start to do is every day I'll drift with her less, to where she actually has to go around me a little bit more. See what I'm doing here? I'm not drifting with her as much. That's why she's hitting the end of the halter. She's got to come off that pressure and stay in a bit of a circle. That was better. You see, that last time she hit the halter, did you notice she didn't resist? There we go. So I'll quit on that as far as yielder. I need 2 eyes. She kind of needs a little remindering about that. Point, 1, 2, there we go. Yield to hindquarters. Excellent. Now it's crucial after every sensitizing exercise you come back and desensitize them. So especially because she had a little bit of an issue here around her head, especially on that near side with that string going past her head, that's what I'm going to come back and work on a little bit more. Retreat and rubber. If you only sensitize, they're going to get jumpy. If you only desensitize, eventually they'll get pushy and disrespectful because they're so quiet they don't want to move away from you. Okay? That's it. You want to be able to start desensitizing them from different areas too. In front, behind, all over. Good girl. I love that. She's cocking a hind leg, left hind leg. Good girl. Good girl. I'm going to come back and work on it around her head. Make sure she's comfortable with this. Excellent. See how she stepped away just there? Come forward now. There we go. I want them comfortable with that rope going all the way over their head like that. That's it. And then I might see if she'll come up here a little bit more. Take a firm hold of her and just see what they do. Do they resist or do they trot forward? Come forward. That's a go. She beat me to it that time. There, like that. Good girl. That's really good. Good girl, I like that. See that slack she's creating? Perfect place to quit her. I'm going to do a little bit with the rope, desensitizing with this. Remember, rope and stick is your primary tools in the beginning that you want to desensitize them to. I'm going to rub her legs down and then we'll be done with her. Always do the legs as the last thing of the day. Rub, rub, rub. Retreat, come back up where they're comfortable. If they move around, keep their head tipped towards you. Keep following them. That's it. Don't even think about trying to pick them up. Your only job is to get her comfortable with you touching them. See how she didn't like that when I took it over her head, so go repeat it. Anytime they give you an oh no, I don't like that, repeat it. Bring it around her butt. That's it. That's a go. to put them in little binds, just like this. Let them always be letting them solve a little puzzle. That's a go. Good girl, I love this. That's what I'm looking for, that lightness. Good girl, Sarah. That's a go. Now I take this halter off. Make sure she bends her head towards you. Don't let them get in a habit of taking that head away when you put the halter on, or take it off. Tip it towards you. That's it. Rubber. Keep that head bent towards you. Good. I love that. Her dropping that head down like that. Good girl. That's really good rub on her. So what I'm going to do with Sarah now is, for the next 2, possibly 3 sessions, I'm just going to practice everything that she's already learnt. The last thing in the world you want to do is show her something new from this point forward, because I've shown her 2 new things, which is ascending exercise and lunging stage 1. Well, until she gets kind of proficient at those 2 things, plus the other things that she already knows, there's no point moving on. So I'm going to spend the next 2 sessions, maybe 3 sessions, continuing to work with her off camera. And then when she's good at those exercises, or at least a B+, then I'm going to bring her back on camera again and show you some new things, okay? So again, show them a few new things, spend 3 or 4 days perfecting them, then move on to the next set of exercises. Spend 3 or 4 days, get them real confident, move to the next set. You don't have to show them new things every single day. You know, just because a kid knows how to spell their name doesn't mean they're good at it. They got to practice it over and over again. Good girl, eh? You like to be rubbed. Spend the last few minutes scratching on them, rubbing on them. The more you can scratch and rub on these things, the better. They just start loving it. Oh, you like the fingernails, don't you? You know what? She's doing great. I'm real happy with the progress, and we're just going to keep working with her, and she's going to get better and better every day. We're back here again with Sarah, mate. We've been working with her for a couple more days off camera, practicing all the exercises we've shown you up to this particular point, okay? So I'd like to review these exercises with you now, and then we'll also go and show her some new exercises as well. Now, to begin with, we've spent quite a bit of time desensitizing her to the stick and string. You can see she's quite a bit more quiet here. Okay, now she's at the point now where Remelina can go away from her and walk around the arena, her mother, and she's not too worried or upset about following her mother now. Okay, and that just comes with getting them a little bit better broke and mature. Okay, lots of spanking beside them, flogging them with kindness. I start every session with desensitizing and finish every session with desensitizing. Notice now I'm actually starting to spank the ground with a little bit more high to extra high energy. Okay. Very good, good girl there. So she's getting a lot quieter about me and my tools. Now right then the kind of rope kind of flicked her in the head there just a little bit, but she's overall getting more comfortable with what's going on, a lot more comfortable. That's the girl. You can't have too much of this desensitizing, okay, at least when you first start the exercises, that's for sure. Start the training session, okay? Every chance I get, I move this rope around her head, get her comfortable with that. That's it. So in the last filming we did with her, we introduced, you know, the lunging stage 1, the ascending exercise, okay, turn and draw. So we want to repeat them today, and I want to show you the improvement in those exercises and where they should roughly be before we move on to the next set of exercises. Okay, don't be surprised if you have to spend 3 or 4 days on those exercises before they're good enough, before you can actually move on. There we go. Good girl. I like that. Okay. Rightio. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of lunging stage 1 with her. So I'm going to point. That's it. Direct her out. Last time she was a little sticky, wasn't she? She wasn't a little reluctant to go forward. So she's doing a lot better now going around. She's not going to do a perfectly round circle, but that's okay. I'm not going to get that picky about it. It's mainly that she just goes forward and around. Now we're going to yield her hindquarters. Oh, I like that. As soon as I looked at her butt, now that was good. When I pointed, she started to go. I want to get them to where as soon as I look at that hindquarters, they immediately turn and give me, there, 2 eyes. So again, when we sit lunging for respect, it's not about chasing them around and around and around. It's about just getting their feet to move. A little bit of stickiness right there. A little bit of resistance on that halter there still, but that just comes out with a little bit more practice. She'll kind of hit it and then she'll come off it and then she'll hit it again. She's just got to find this right size of the circle. Yield. Good girl. Point. Excellent. So I'm more than happy with that. Notice that I'm not going around and around and around. 1 or 2 circles is plenty. I'm not trying to wear her out, okay, by making her tight. I'm trying to just get her feet to go forward and then to yield. Okay, let's move over to the fence. See how she does with the sending exercise. Yield. Yield. Good girl. Now that's a lot better. Notice how I'm not having to use the stick that much. A little bit right there, she was a little lazy, but most of it's coming off that halter. Good girl. And what I like is she's not worried too much about what her mother's doing. Okay, if they start crowding into you, tap them with a stick like that under their belly to drive them away a little further if you find they're starting to crowd you. There we go. I love that. That's a lot better than last time. Yield. Yield. Good girl. I love to do lots of this. Walking back away from them, spanking that ground, getting them to come towards you. Hey, you're doing great, aren't you? Okay, good girl. So let's work on a little bit of turn and draw. This is something she really struggled with, wasn't it? Is turning around that hindquarters. Now see if they start to anticipate, which they will once they kind of get the hang of it, okay, just hold them there and keep moving it. Now I'm going to step back. Oops, she turned the wrong way. There. That's it. And I've been kind of backing up a little faster now, seeing if I can get her to trot up to me. Okay, get her to come off that halter pressure a little bit better. Okay. See when she feels it behind her butt, she's already trying to move. Just keep sliding it back and forth, waving it until they just quit moving. Now I'm going to step back. And then there. I want her to trot forward and say, you can't pull on me. Okay. There. A little bit of resistance right there. There we go. Good girl. Okay, that's plenty good enough. The goal, mate, is to be able to get your foal to flex to the pressure of the halter and lead rope. When I just pick up with 2 fingers, I want that foal to be very, very light. That's all it takes, fingers, to get them to flex. You should be able to flex them from both sides. If I pick up here across the back, that's all it takes. It's just 2 fingers to get her to bend and flex. Good girl. She's very light. The lighter you can get them here at this age, it really makes a big difference when you go to ride them and you pick up on that rein or that hackamore and they instantly bend and soften. Good girl. She's very light. Rightio, let's do something a little bit new with her. Before she gets too tired, I want to start to flex her now, teach her how to flex. I find that if the foals get kind of tired, it's almost harder to get them to flex because they just get what I call real blah or real gummy about it, where they just don't really want to get off it. It's kind of hard to explain. So I don't want them real fresh to where they're really jumping out of their skin when I teach it, but at the same time I don't want them real tired either. Okay, so I want to show her. I'd like to do the flexing with her today, turn and go, and lunging stage 2. They're the new exercises I'd like to show her today, but we'll just see how far we get into it. So I'm going to pick up, I'm going to pull out the side a little bit just initially to help her. Now she's moving her feet. I want her to keep her feet still and bend her head and neck. Normally you pull up behind the withers, but because they're so little, you'll kind of pull further back towards their back here, almost towards their hip just a little bit. And if I have to, I'll pull my hand out the side even to help them. But when they're spinning around, I usually find it's easier if you just glue your hand to their back near their hip. Get ready. Now I might bring my hand onto my hip just to make it a little easier for her. Now she's going to just leaning on this. She's not pulling real bad, but she's just kind of leaning on it. I just like a little give here. I'm not going to force her to give. I'd like her just to find it. Some are easier than others. Wait. Biggest thing is when she moves around, she can't find her relief by moving her feet. See, her head's bent now. That doesn't mean that they're giving. A lot of people get fooled and thinking just because their head's bent, they're actually giving to that pressure. I'd like her almost just then to create a little slack in that rope. But it'll only be small in the beginning. Hold it. I'm standing further behind her. Especially when they're this age, they're little, it's easier to do it, but I don't want to be up around her head blocking that head and neck from bending. I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit more, try to make it feel just a little more uncomfortable for ignoring me. This is where you just have to set it up and let it happen. Might tighten it up just a little bit more there. Okay. I'm trying to make her feel uncomfortable enough on the halter that she looks for a better place to be. She's kind of pulling against it here. Just wait. She's thinking about it. She's bending her head, but she hasn't quite put any slack in this rope. If I have to, I might even rock it just a little bit if I need to, just to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. There. As I rocked it there, I wasn't really tugging on her, but I was just rocking it back and forth, and I felt a little bit of a give just then, so I released it. We've got to get a starting point established. Once you get that starting point established, I'm just going to rock it here a little bit. There, I felt a little bit more. Good go. Pick up. That's it. Rock it again. I don't mind waiting for him, but I kind of felt like she wasn't going to try any harder. So by rocking it here, I felt like I could make it just a little bit more uncomfortable until she chose to get off it. See, her head's bent here, but she hasn't created any slack. I want her to create some. She's pulling against it, pulling against it, pulling against it, pulling against it. Just follow them around. Get ready. Wait. Just kind of rocking it again. There, I felt just a little bit of softness right there. Good girl. Rewater. It's not much, but it's a try. I'm going to pick up. Wait for her. There we go. There's a little give right there. Some foals will do better if you just use steady pressure. And to be honest, other foals do a little bit better if you just kind of rock it like I was doing to her. Some need a combination of the two. It just depends on the individual a little bit. Ideally, I'd like to just hold it, but every once in a while, you're going to get a bit of a stubborn foal that's a little stiffer that you may have to knock on it a bit harder, okay? When they walk around, you just follow them. I know it's hard to see from some of the angles that she stands at, but I'm just looking for that little bit of slack that they create there. Sometimes they'll have a tendency to fall asleep like she's doing now. That's when you rock it a little bit like that. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to get her to touch her belly today, but that's all right. I'm just going to keep building on it until, you know, over the next 3 or 4 days until she can. I'm just looking for that initial understanding of how to get off there, how to get off that pressure. Good girl. If I can just get her to understand the concept of when I pull, you just need to give. There, release it. So she was a long way off her belly, but I'm still going to reward it anyway. Say to yourself, I'm going to take 3 to 4 days to eventually get them to touch their belly. Some will touch pretty quickly, okay? But don't try to get it all done in one session. Now, if they let you, there's nothing wrong with that. Or they progress very quickly, there, that's better. But don't necessarily expect it. Just expect that they understand where that release is. When they give, wait, there, you give back to her. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side in a second. She's there, she's pulling against me. I'm going to rock it here. There, she gave. Good girl. Let's try this other side. I always kind of start out the side a little bit more rather than coming back in here. When they get to be adults, we kind of pull into this area here, but when they're little, I pull back here. But in the beginning, I usually try to just lead their nose a little bit if I can, like that. That's it. Hold it. There, release it. Good girl. Pick up. There, release it. Anytime that head comes around, release that rope immediately. There, that was really good. And they're always going to have one side that's better than the other. Okay, this side here, she seems a lot better on this side than what she did the other side. Back up. She's caught on a lot faster. There we go. Don't try and stop them from moving. Just follow them. There we go. Good girl. I might rock it a little bit there. Again, if you get them too tired, I find they just kind of have a tendency to get real heavy there and they just kind of fall asleep and lean on that halter. So try not to do this if they're breathing hard or tired. There. Okay. There we go. There. Okay, so I'm going to leave that be. Okay, she definitely got the idea of it. Not great yet, but she'll get better with time. The goal, mate, is what we call turn and go. It's very similar to turn and draw, except now we want to be able to send the horse out in a circle after they turn. So put it around their butt, let them turn, point. There, I love that snappy departure there. Energetic, you want energy in their feet. You notice how she's circling around me and she's keeping slack in that rope? That's a good sign. Look at her hindquarters, yield her, bring her in. Okay, we'll send her the other way. Never forget, do lots of this throwing this rope around their head. If they flinch, like a couple of times she just flinched just then, go and do it a couple more times. Hold on to the snap, flip it over their butt, turn, point, there we go. Yield her hindquarters, bring her in. Turn, go. That was really smooth. I like that one. Yield and bring her up to you. That's a go. Good girl. Okay, let's work on a little bit of what we call turn and go. We've done turn and draw. Now it's going to be turn and go, where I want it to go around the back of her. Okay. Instead of drawing up towards me, I'm going to actually send her out to my right. She's going to turn and then leave. She's a little sticky there when she got near her mother. That's it. So I'm not going to stop her over there. If I stop her anywhere, it's going to be over here somewhere. So I'm going to, if she doesn't want to go forward, I'll keep those feet moving forward. Yeah, I like that. That time there when I point, she actually went somewhere. When I point, go somewhere. Rightio. Yield her hindquarters. That's it. Bring her on in. Good girl. Okay, so if you take the rope over her head, she's going to head out to my left, like this. She's going to turn to the right and then head off to my left. So it's just a combination of turn and draw and lunging for respect stage 1. I like her to just trot like that. Yield her hindquarters. Good girl. Rub her on her face. Whatever hand is on the snap, see how I grab the snap here to stop her from turning before I'm ready? That's the way you send them out. So my right hand was on the snap, so that was better. I didn't need as much. A little sticky here. I'm kind of putting a little pressure on her just to see how she's going to handle it. Plus, I also want to move in forward a little bit better. There. That's what I'm after. When I point, she moves those feet. I don't want her to canter around in a circle, but I do want her to speed up. Yield her hindquarters. That's a go. Oh, yeah. Very good. Okay, so my left hand's on the snap, so I'm going to send her out that way. Turn. That's it. Pretty good there. Point. Just double check she'll go forward. Point. Yield. Very good. I love how she's coming all the way up to me here. Good girl. So you know what? I'd be done with that there. I was pretty happy with how she did. She gave a little bit of resistance, but not a lot. So if I can get a little improvement in it, and I think she understands the concept, that's plenty for the first session. And I'm going to work on this over the next 2 or 3 days, and we'll come back and show you the improvement in that. Okay. Come back and desensitize them. It wouldn't hurt every time I change sides to see if I can get a little flex out of her either. Let me just move her so the camera can see. There, release it. Release it. Usually you find they're just a lot better with the flexing the next day when they've had a chance to kind of sleep on it. Anytime I can, don't be frightened to drive that front around the rear. Good girl. Rub it to a stop. Remember, these foals will get very pushy very quickly at that front end. So if you're not reminding them to move that front end away from you, they will get kind of heavy there. Drive that front end away. That's a go. Have that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, this is the foundation of a spin right here. She's bred to be a reining horse, so when we eventually teach her how to spin around, it's the same movement. Good girl. The goal, mate, of lunging for respect stage 2 is to be able to get the horse to go around in a circle, and when you step in front of that drive line, step in front of their shoulder, your horse stops and turns, and the majority of the time puts their weight on their hindquarters. Now when they're little like this, under 6 months of age, I don't get too picky about how they turn as far as doing a great rollback. After I wean them, then I get a little bit more particular about it. But as soon as I step, as long as she acknowledges that and turns, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so with the adult horses, I really want them to stop and roll over their hocks and crack through themselves. At this age, that's plenty. For what she just did then, that's plenty. This gets really good control of the horse's forequarters, which will stop them from being pushy. Watch, as soon as I step, she turns. As soon as I step, she turns. Step. And you can tell she's kind of athletic. It won't be hard for her to use herself. Step. There we go. And then yield and come in. Good girl. Okay, let's try a little lunging for respect stage 2. Okay, point. I love that. When I point, she starts moving somewhere. Now right there I spanked her on the butt because I pointed and she didn't really try to speed up. I want that energetic departure. Point. 2 eyes, please. 2 eyes. Now, there's 6 steps to changing directions. Step 1, turn your palm up. Step 2, put the stick in your hand. Step 3, slide your hand down. Step 4, step in front. 5, point up high in the air. And 6, use your stick hand. So lunging for respect stage 2 gets the horse moving their forequarters, that front end, which is that part of the body of the horse that they want to use to push us around. So palm up. Stick in your hand, slide, step, point. Now ultimately when they get older, I want them to do a nice roll back. But at her age, I don't really care what kind of a turn she does, as long as she stops and changes directions when I step in front of the drive line. I can get pickier about it when she gets a little older. I just want, when I step in front of the drive line, point, and that drive line, remember, is right on her shoulder there, or just behind her shoulder where the girth would be if she had a little saddle on her. That's that drive line. Step in front. Step, point. So far she's doing great. Step in front, point, that's it. Step in front, point. Ah, that was a little bit better. And I'm going to let her walk here a little bit. If I notice that she's starting to get a little tired, I have no problem with her walking and relaxing. Again, it's the older horses, see me do this on tour, I really make them hustle a lot more, don't I? I make them trot and canter and really stop and turn. I get them pretty sweaty when they're being bad. But at her age, it's not about chasing her around till she's tired or exhausted. I'm trying to do lots of small little changes of directions. There we go. Step in front. There. Step in front. There we go. So you know what? That's a good place to quit her. She's nice and relaxed. She's using the thinking side of her brain. She understands when I step. There we go. That was a good little rollback. Good girl. I'm not going to do any more than that for her first session. Very good. She did great. I'm going to come back and desensitize her now. That's it. Now because she did so well and things didn't take quite as long as I thought they were going to, I'm going to do one more exercise with her, which is circle driving. Okay? I think she can handle it. She doesn't seem to be overloaded. She's licking her lips. She's relaxed. Okay? And then that's the set of exercises we're going to work on until she knows them really well, and then we'll give her a few more. Good girl. Let's go and flex her. Every chance I get, I'm going to work on this flexing. There. There we go. There, good go. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more desensitizing with the stick. Good go. The goal of circle driving, mate, is to be able to get the horse to try to circle around you, but actually stay up beside you. Okay? Like she's going a little bit too fast here and cantering around. But I want her left shoulder and my right shoulder to stay level with each other. And I want to be able to rest that stick on their withers. Then yield the hindquarters, point, and have the horse come up the other way. So the horse stays on the edge of my hula hoop. I want their nose tipped in, their shoulder out a little bit. I like to see the slack in the rope like she's putting in the rope right now. Now I'm going to yield a hindquarters, look at it, get two eyes. There we go, now she's relaxed again. You don't want to have that horse pull in against you. You want them with slack in that halter line, that lead rope. Yield, point. I love it when I point and she immediately moves those feet. I tell people, ask them with the halter, tell them with the stick. She's staying level with my shoulders, yield to hindquarters, get two eyes, point, there, and she moves those feet. Yield. Good girl, Miley. Now, mate, I'd like to teach Sarah a new little exercise. This is called circle driving. It's very similar to lunging for respect stage 1, but at the same time, it's a little bit different. I'd like her to jog around me, and I'm going to rest this stick right on her withers. And I'd like to keep her on the edge of my hula hoop space. I don't want her crowding me, and then again, I don't want her trying to pull away from me either. Okay, now in the beginning, if it's a little easier for her to walk, I'll go along with that, but she can't stop like that. But basically, my right shoulder and her left shoulder should line up with each other. Our shoulders should be level with each other. Notice that my belly button is facing forward. So me and her are basically going in a circle together. She's on a bigger circle than me. Now, anytime she stops, okay, or doesn't want to come forward, I point with my hand, there. And then if necessary, I tap with the stick back towards the butt here a little bit. So on the older horses, I typically say don't let more than 3 inches of the stick on the other side of their withers, okay? When they're a little bit small like this, I'll give them a little bit more room than that, so I'm not going to be quite as critical. So if I get 5 or 6 inches over there, that's fine. I just don't want them crowding my space a lot. So if she does, I can tap her on the side of her neck like that. So step 1 is just get her comfortable coming up beside me. The circle driving exercise is a great exercise to get a horse to give into the pressure of the halter. It's really good about getting the horse to yield and give you two eyes. It's a very low impact type exercise. A lot of it's done at the walk or the jog. It's kind of slow. It really helps relax one. There, I love that. When I pointed, she sped those feet up. Okay, point again. Ultimately, I'd like her to jog. She can't do a lot of it forever, but I just wanted to make sure she'll come forward. Now I'm going to turn my belly button towards the butt, step towards the hindquarters. I'm going to keep walking. There. To get it to come up on this side. Now I kind of did that all as one movement. Next time I do it, I'm going to kind of break it into steps. Okay, that changes direction. That's a go. There, she wants to walk, that's okay, but she can't stop. And every once in a while, I'm just going to point and make sure that she'll come off that halter. Even if she's walking, I still want to be able to point and make sure she'll trot. Anytime I point, move those feet. Okay, so I'm going to change directions again. You ready? I'm going to turn my belly button towards the butt and step on a tail. And by doing that, she turns and gives me two eyes. Step 1, take your stick under the rope. Step 2, look up what's in front of your belly button across the arena. Where are you going, you overachiever? Okay. Step 1, stick under the rope. Step 2, belly button facing in front of you. Step 3, take 3 steps. Step 4, point. Step 5, tap with the stick. So point is ask them to go by opening up the door with that halter and lead rope. If that doesn't work, then you use the stick to create some driving pressure behind that drive line and make it come forward. So if you've got your previous exercises done well, this shouldn't be very difficult. Okay, she's not really giving me a lot of trouble. A little bit of stickiness right there, but overall not a lot of problems. You'll probably find from about this point on, any mistakes that Sarah makes are going to be relatively innocent. Okay, she's kind of out of that little stage when she was a little bit younger where she wanted to kind of spit the dummy out and have a little bit of a flop on the ground. Okay, see, that's it a little bit right there, but you see the difference now is now she doesn't want to rear up and flop over. She'll just kind of test me every once in a while, but she doesn't take it any further. Watch, I'm going to turn and step. Now if she doesn't move that butt, I'm going to whack it with the stick. Take my stick under the rope, look up, walk 3 steps, point. Okay, so if I don't think she's giving me 2 eyes, I'm going to tap her on the butt to make her give me 2 eyes. Okay, so Remelina's over there against the fence. She couldn't care less. Okay, Sarah's not worried about her mother anymore, so that's all good. I'm going to turn, yield, change, point. Good girl. If she gets a little too close, I'll tap her on the side of the neck. It's very important to keep your belly button facing forward. A lot of people do this is they face the horse with their belly button like they're lunging it. I want your belly button facing forward. You're not trying to drive the horse away from you necessarily, you're driving the horse forward up beside you. So look at it like your belly button's a loaded gun. Wherever you point it, something dies. So keep it facing forward. I love how she's just jogging around nice and relaxed. Turn, yield, point. Never hurts to rub on them with the stick. Okay. Point. I like that, as soon as she felt that pressure. So I'd say she understands the basic concept of this exercise. When I point, come up beside me. When I step towards your butt, give me 2 eyes. Now see how she keeps coming into my personal space here? Up till now, I've kind of been allowing that, okay? When I say now, in the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to correct that a little bit. I haven't discouraged her from wanting to come in towards me as long as she's not real dominant and pushy. Because I don't want her to get fearful of me. I want her to realize that if she comes up to me, I'm going to rub her and nothing bad's going to happen to her. But if I don't start correcting this soon and start teaching her to back up and stay out of my personal space, she probably will learn to get a little bit dominant there. So in the next set of exercise, I'm sure we'll be starting to teach her how to back up away from me a little bit, but not right now. I'd like to get these exercises just a little bit better here. Okay, so that's the end of our training session with her now. So what I'm going to do now is off camera, basically just keep practicing those new exercises, which is flexing, okay, turn and go, lunging stage 2, and circle driving. Now, I won't necessarily run through every exercise that I've taught her every day. In fact, I won't do that. Okay, but I will touch on them every once in a while. I will go back to a little bit of touch and rub or something that I've already taught her every few days just to check out, does she still remember it, etc. Okay. That's a go. So now I'm just going to finish the session with the desensitizing. I mix it up between the rope, stick and string, okay, making sure she's comfortable with this, over her head. Sometimes they'll start to get smart where they know when you walk up to them with that arm up to do this, they know they're going to turn. See how she's already starting to turn like right there? That's what they do. So here's how you fool them a little bit. Do this to them. Get the tail of the rope and have that go over their neck. Watch. So when she goes to turn, see how I can pull her this way? I do it again. Have the tail of the rope go over her head. And she's not, see there, she went to turn and I turned her this way. And it'll just keep them guessing a little bit more about what you're actually doing. See, I'll let it run down the back of her, see that? And then I'll turn her this way. Until they stop anticipating what's going on. See, she did it again. Pretty soon here, she won't turn to her left. She'll wait till she sees which way the halter's going to pull on her. Come forward. There, that was better. Come off that. That time there, she didn't guess at all. There we go. That's better. Now I can go back to this way. See here? Come off that. Every once in a while, she'll get a little sticky there, and I want to get her off that. Don't be frightened, if they get a little sticky, take a hold of them and pull on them a little bit and say, okay, come on. See, you're going to understand now, I'm going to get a little bit more demanding of her because she's not a little bitty baby anymore. She understands these concepts, okay? So keep in mind, as the horse gets better and they understand right from wrong, when they do the wrong thing, I'm going to make them feel uncomfortable for that. I'm going to reprimand them a little bit. If you don't do that, there's no incentive for her to get the right idea. There's no incentive for her to do the right thing. So in the beginning, I'm very patient when they're first learning. But once they know right from wrong, then I'm a lot stricter about what's going on. There we go. Okay. I want to make sure we rub her legs down. We're getting real close to picking them up here, but we've got to get this real good, just rubbing them. Approach and retreat. And once you've been working on it like this, it doesn't take very long. You don't have to spend more than, 20, 30 seconds per foot. Anytime I can, I put her in a little bind, make a turn, figure it out. Good girl. She's ready now pretty much any day to start having these legs picked up. Good girl. She's flexing a little better here. This would be a good place to quit her. She's nice and relaxed, she's calm, she's using the thinking side of her brain, and we'll give her a break. I'm going to practice with her for probably maybe at least one more session, maybe 2 more sessions off camera, and then we're going to go ahead and bring her back and show you some new exercises with her. Now, mate, we've given Sarah a few hours break and I wanted to come back and show her a couple of new exercises. I'd like to get her backing up now. She's got plenty of draw, and the draw is the ability for the horse to come toward you. You see how she's nice and quiet, but she's always in my personal hula hoop space. And I don't mind that initially when I'm trying to get them quiet. But if you don't start getting her to be more aware of your personal space, pretty soon that quietness turns into pushiness. Remember, draw is the ability for the horse to come towards you. Drive is the ability to make that horse move away from you, okay? So you've got to balance draw and drive. Too much drive, they're always trying to get away from you and they're scared. Too much draw and they're always running over the top of you. So I have 4 methods when I teach my horses to back up in the down under horsemanship method, okay? The first one is what we call tap the air. Second one is called wiggle, wave, walk and whack. The third method is called our marching method, and the fourth one is backing with steady pressure. Today I want to teach her the first method and the fourth method. The first method is tap the air, which basically teaches her whenever you feel pressure out in front of you, back away from that. And the fourth method is getting her to back up off steady pressure. I don't worry about teaching the second and third method until they're pretty good at the first and fourth. I know it seems a little confusing. You'd think that you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, with the adult horses, that's what I do. Start at method 1, 2, 3, and then 4. But when they're little like this, I find they catch on much quicker if you teach them number 1 first, then 4, and then come back 3 or 4 days later and do 2 or 3. It just trust me, it works a lot better, okay? The goal, mate, of backing method number 1 is to be able to tap the stick in front of your horse's nose and have them respectfully back away from that particular pressure. There, good girl. And then rubber with the stick. Tap the air with a little rhythm. If they get stuck, you might have to tap the rope a little bit, but just get that horse to respectfully back out of your space. Rubber. Tap the air again. That's it. There we go. She hasn't got to back up terribly fast, but she has got to respect me and move out of my space. Keep them a little straighter there if I go to turn on you. There we go. Good girl. She did good. So, first one is tap the air. So I'm going to get out in front of her here, and I'm going to tap the air 4 times with the stick. 1, 2, 3, 4. If that doesn't work, I tap the rope. 1, 2, 3, 4. If that doesn't work, I whack the rope. 1, 2, 3, 4. If that doesn't work, I might whack the clip. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if that didn't work, I might have to whack her on the end of the nose. Now that's pretty rare, of course, especially when they're little like this and they haven't learned to be pushy and disrespectful and dominant. But if you've ever had a potty foal or an orphan foal that you've had to hand raise, those little things, they're like the devil with hair on them. They can get very pushy very quickly. So you might have to whack them a few times on the nose if you've got one of them that's learned to run over people. But she's pretty good here, okay? So ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap with, there we go. That's it, good girl. As soon as she backs up 2 steps, rubber. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. There's 2 little steps just there. Not much, but always rub it away. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now I just look for 1 or 2 steps, not a lot. Just give her that concept. I want her to understand when I tap the air in front of you, it means back up. When I tap the rope. When I whack the rope, I want you to take that seriously. And then always rub it away. Rubbing her with the stick stops her from being frightened of the stick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now initially they're going to throw their head up. Now see how she's walking towards me right there? I'm going to get a little firmer now and say, don't come inside my personal hula hoop space unless I invite you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay? By rubbing her with the stick, it shows her she doesn't ever going to be frightened of it. See, in the beginning, when you first ask them to back up, they usually stick their head up in the air. And people say, well, what do you do with their head on the air? Nothing. I ignore it. Worry about the feet. Watch this. When the feet stick, the head goes up. I don't want to back up. But when the feet move, the head will come down. So I don't like her head being in the air, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to worry about getting her feet to move. There. And when you get the horse's feet to move, you can then get the head to come down. But if you worry about the head first, you'll always have trouble with it. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm going to increase the pressure a lot quicker if I notice that she just starts walking towards me. See, like kind of like right there? I want her to realize that now there's an electric fence around me. Don't walk into my personal space unless I invite you to come in. Rubber there. 1, see right there. I didn't ask her to come in, so I didn't ask her to step forward. So I'm going to get a little firmer about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always start gently. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase that pressure. So initially, don't get greedy. Don't ask for 10 steps, just 2. Now right there, see how she stepped forward? I want her to think, you know what? I don't want to come towards him unless I'm invited, because every time I do, I seem to run into an imaginary brick wall. See, like right there. Step out of it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! Now that's the first time I made a suggestion and I tapped the rope gently, and she took that, oh, and she walked into my space. She took that suggestion seriously. Yield the hindquarters 180 degrees. Okay, try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Good girl. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, there. Now every day that I teach this to her, work on this, she'll just back up a little better and an extra step or two. So by the end of the week, she'll back up, 5 to 10 steps pretty easily. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, come on. She kind of came towards me then, so I got after her there. 1, 2, so up, she came towards me, I got after her. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Oh, there we go. So eventually all I want to have to do is tap the air, and she takes that seriously and backs away. But right now I start gently, I increase the pressure as she what? Ignores me, like right there. Start gently and then increase that pressure. Oh, I like that. Good girl. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. There, and I'm going to quit on that. I think she understands the basic concept, except there, don't come towards me. She's got to learn now to stay out of my personal space. Now, I like that. She's kind of got a leg cock there, she did for a bit, have a leg cock. She's licking her lips. Okay, so I like the fact that she's nice and quiet. But if I don't start establishing more of my personal hula hoop space, she's going to start to get mouthy and a lot more pushier there. She hasn't got too bad right now because I've been doing a lot of yield the forequarters and moving her feet. Okay, but now it's time to take that to a whole nother level. Okay, so she did really good there. Now what I'd like to do is teach her the next backup method. I want to be able to yield the horse's hindquarters 360 degrees and get the foal to disengage and then back up off steady pressure. So when I gently pick up on this halter, see how light she is when she backs up? That's what I'm looking for. A nice yield first, yield the hindquarters, get the feet moving, pick up on the hole to a steady pressure, and she backs up very, very lightly. Once they're at her stage, you don't always need to yield the hindquarters. I want them so light that I could barely touch the halter with 2 fingers, and that's all it takes. She's a little crooked here, so I'm going to move that front end away and straighten her up and back her up again. There we go. Good deal. Make sure you can do it from both sides. Make sure they'll move their feet off that light pressure. That's a go. Tap our hindquarters over. There we go. Now, mate, I'd like to teach her backing method number 4, which is getting her to back up off steady pressure. Remember, horses love to lean on steady pressure. Okay, driving pressure has a beat or a rhythm to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Steady pressure is just that. It's a consistent, steady pressure. Horses love to lean on a steady pressure, especially adult horses, because they use their weight against you. It's much easier to get a baby foal to move away from steady pressure because they haven't got that size and that mass yet to push into you, okay? But I want to teach her how to back up off that pressure off her nose. So I'm going to go ahead and yield her hindquarters 360 degrees. And then I'm going to ask her to back up. The reason why I want to yield her hindquarters first is get her feet moving. What's the hardest part about pushing a car that breaks down? It's getting it to initially start rolling, isn't it? So I'm going to get the car rolling, and then it's easy, relatively easy to push down the road, okay? But it takes a lot of effort. Okay, everybody on 3, 1, 2, and then everybody has to heave to push. Once the car's rolling, it doesn't take it's not that hard to keep it rolling. So by yielding her hindquarters and getting her feet to move, then all I have to do is redirect those feet backwards, okay? Now, there's basically 4 levels of pressure on the halter. I'm going to pick up real light and gentle like that. If that doesn't work, I'm going to jiggle the clip. If that doesn't work, I'm going to jerk down on the halter. And if that doesn't work, I might get my stick and tap her on the chest. Okay, but let's see what happens here. So, yield the hindquarters. Stage 1, get that hindquarters to move. She already knows this. If she gets a little lazy, you can tap her butt here. Make her move those feet. See, if I'm not happy with yielding the hindquarters, I'm going to keep going around here. Keep going around here. That's it. Now I'm going to pick up, jiggle, there. As soon as she takes a step back. So I start out with steady pressure. But if I don't get a good response, then I move on to driving. That's better. Now she's taking this a little bit more seriously. You can go around more than 360, but minimum 360. Pick up, jiggle, there. And then drop it. Okay. Now eventually I won't have to yield to hindquarters to get her to back up. But initially, until she gets pretty good, I'm going to always go ahead and yield that hindquarters. I don't like how she kind of is sucking back here a little bit. Move forward. Move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward. That's better. See how she's stepping forward with that inside hind leg, her left hind leg stepping in front of her right now a bit more. That's better. Pick up, jiggle, there. That's a go. So for whatever reason, she's a little stiff here today and is wanting to suck back a little bit much. So I'm going to use my stick further behind her butt to encourage her to step forward. Back here. Pick up, there. That's it. Good girl. Again, just look for a couple of steps initially. Yield that hindquarters. Pick up. There, a couple of steps. Good girl. Let's try the other side. Remember, when you first teach something, it's a concept lesson. Does the horse understand the basic concept? Same thing on this side. She's a little sucked back here, so I'm going to get the stick more behind her to get her to think forward more. Forward. Forward. There. I want her right hind leg to step there, up there. Forward. That's it. Now ask her to back up. There we go. Pick up. There we go. So again, don't get too picky, just a couple of steps is plenty. Tomorrow I'll look for, say, 2 or 3 steps, and then the next day 4, and you just kind of build on it. There we go. So when I find a little hole in a foundation here, like to me there's a little hole right here with the hindquarters, I haven't really came back and directly worked on this one exercise for, you know, a few days. I need to come back. If I find a little hole, I need to come back and fix that hole. Okay, and the hole to me is she's stepping back too much rather than stepping forward with that inside hind leg. See, when they step behind, they're being stiff. When they step in front with it, they're bending their rib a little bit. They're thinking about getting soft, like that. There we go. Pick up. There we go. Now she's not quite ready, but this is how you do it from a standstill. You pick up, jiggle, jerk, move those feet. Pick up, jiggle, jerk, move those feet. Pick up, jiggle, jerk, move those feet. But the reason she's not ready for the standstill is because she's still too sticky here. It's easier to get this done first. Move those feet. Move those feet. There. See, when she's starting to move forward now, she's also getting just a little bit more bend in her neck when she does it right. Come on, move forward. Forward, 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 forward. There we go. Forward, forward, forward. Even if I have to get her to go in a circle. Forward. Think forward now. That's better. Forward, move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward. Then go back into it. She needs a little bit of this actually. Yield to hindquarters, and then bring it forward, forward. Make her walk or trot a circle around you. And then yield to hindquarters. That's better. Now go forward, forward. So actually, to be honest with her for the next session, I'm actually not going to back her up by yielding to hindquarters and backing her up. I'm just going to come back and get this just a little bit better. Because if I yield to hindquarters and then back her up, it's probably just going to compound this little issue she's got here about sucking back too much. Forward. Yield that hindquarters. There. When she's doing it correctly, that foot will step across. Now forward, please. See that? Forward. Come forward now. So I started with one exercise and I'm having to go back and work on something else. It's not uncommon that you find a little hole there that you need to fix. I don't mind if I find a hole in my horse's program, as long as I just recognize what it is and fix it. There we go. Forward, forward, forward. There, that's better. See that right hind leg stepping in front? See how she's starting to pivot on her inside front leg, or right front leg, instead of that left front leg. Forward, forward, and go back again. Watch her right front leg. You know they're doing it correctly when they pivot on the right front leg, their inside front leg, which in this case is the right one. If she gets pushy, use your elbow like that and bump them in the face to get them off you. And then forward. See this? Do you see this here? It's a little hang up right there. That's a little hole that I want to fix right there. I don't like it when I pick up and her first reaction is to kind of raise her head up and brace against that. So this will be good. What I'm doing here is not even an exercise as far as I'm yielding the hindquarters. This is yield the hindquarters stage 1. But then what I'm doing here is just an extra little thing I do to a horse like her. Yield. There. I like the bend she's starting to get in the neck. When she gets soft, she'll start to get bend. Now that was better. That's it. Move your feet. Move your feet. Move your feet. Point. See this here? Now she eventually came off it, didn't she? But there was some resistance there. I need to get that to where when I point, see that? There's no dead spot here. Move forward. There we go. Okay, so we started out with backing, and then we kind of moved on to something else we weren't really planning on, but that's kind of horse training for you, okay? Let your horse talk to you. Let the horse tell you where they need extra help. Horses talk to us all the time. We just got to be smart enough to read them. To me, what Sarah's telling me is, hey Clinton, before you can work on too much backing with my hindquarters, I need to be thinking forward more. I need to get my feet moving forward. I need to get a little bit better at when I feel that pressure, see that there? Come forward. When I feel that pressure, come forward. See that there? Come forward. There we go. Forward. forward. I'm going to get a little stricter on her now because she kind of knows what I'm looking for now. So I'm going to get a little tougher with her and say, come on now, when I point, move off that pressure. When you feel that pressure, don't pause, move. There, that's better. That's it. Now every time she comes in, I can back her up a little bit now. Work on this method a little bit here. I'm not going to let her rest in my hula hoop unless I invite her in. And I'm not going to invite her in for 2 or 3 days until she gets comfortable about staying out. Good girl. Okay, I'm going to desensitize her now off camera. Always start and finish your exercises, you know, your training sessions with your desensitization. So I'm going to rub her down, rub her legs, desensitize her with the rope and stick, and then we're going to bring her back in, say, three days time or 3 sessions time and show you the improvement.